Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin.
I'm Ray.
And there's a lot that happened this past week. It was Life Day, and we got D23 news, news about the Halcyon, and we also got some new Life Day merch. I forgot to mention that during the Life Day stuff I was talking about. But yeah, Life Day was pretty cool. And then we got stuff about Sabine, Sabe. I'm gonna mix those two up during the thing. Right now, we're just talking.
We're
about
gonna do our best. Well,
how there's
you're
like
gonna do
three,
your best. I can tell them apart.
There are three characters that start with the letter S. So Sabine, Satine, and Sabe. So I'm probably gonna mess it up at some point during the podcast. So I apologize.
At least Satine isn't in the news right now.
Yeah, not. I mean, I figured that she will be once the Kenobi series hits, but I digress. So, with that being said, take it away with Sabe.
So, Queen's Shadow has returned. She is going to be back in I don't think it might be the next Darth Vader comic. It's number 20. There's not any information about what she's going to be doing, but she's coming back. So, I'm really excited because, I mean, the first time we saw her in the Vader comics, Vader saw her and was like, oh my gosh, Padme? And she basically just went with it and was like, yes, I'm Padme. I'm back from the dead to haunt you until your death. And I was like, wow, that's metal. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do next.
Now, is this taking place during the timeline of just after Empire Strikes Back and then between Return of the Jedi still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think Vader may have killed a lot of the Amidalans, which is the group that Sabe started to kind of figure out what happened to Padme and Anakin and get revenge on their killer, which is Anakin. So I am really curious to see if Sabe is going to find out that Darth Vader is Anakin, because where it left off with her previous appearance in the Darth Vader comics, she does not know that Anakin and Vader are the same person.
Do you think Rex will make an appearance? In the story, I could see it happening. I mean, technically he's still alive because if he does show up in the Battle of Endor, so I could see him showing in that timeline. But I don't think Vader and Rex, as there's been no canon actual like storyline of where Rex meets Vader. I don't think. I may be wrong with that. If someone wants to correct
quick question, where did you pull Rex from?
One of our fans, Sage West.
Okay. I have the full screen up, so I can't see anything else.
Yes. So I think that would be cool. And we'll definitely talk about this in a bit when we talk about the live action announcement of Sabine being casted. But I think Rex will show up in the Ahsoka show. If he doesn't, I'll be surprised because Tamara Morrison, is already playing Boba Fett. So why not just keep playing all the other clones? Because he is the clone. So it would make sense if he came back as Rex.
I would love to see him come back as Rex, or just see Rex again. At the end of the Clone Wars, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I really wanted like a buddy cop movie of Ahsoka and Rex just traveling the galaxy.
I was expecting something like that to happen in the Bad Batch, of where like we see them together, but it makes sense that they're not. Oh man, there is a lot to explore in that timeline as well, because there's that 30-year gap, and that's why I'm excited for Kenobi. 20-year gap. And that's why I'm excited for Kenobi, because in Kenobi we are going to see like the Empire in its prime. Like it's going to be really in its prime, and that's very, very exciting, because we are going to see Kenobi deal with all of the stuff that he dealt with in Revenge of the Sith, and he's going to have to deal with that as a big issue, because he is watching the person's son that he chopped up on Mustafar. Like that is a blunt way to put it, but it's a very it's going to be dark, it's going to be gritty, and from the concept art that dropped a couple of weeks ago was crazy as well. So I'm very excited to see that, and I'm really excited to see other characters return. And who knows, we might see Sabe come back in live action. I know that's your dream.
I
But
would love that. I would also love to play her. Hey Disney, are you listening?
But yeah, so that's very exciting. And not only was that comic book and book announced, there's also other stuff, including with the High Republic, which is awesome because the High Republic is getting more deep into the story that they created almost a year ago, which is exciting. And then also, we are also getting something called the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Halcyon Legacy. Now, this is going to be a couple of stories that actually take place during the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and that in that 30-year gap from Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens, because apparently this cruiser has been going on for that long. And we are going to see, characters from the Clone Wars, characters like way before the Clone Wars. There's a new issue that dropped, and it's called the Halcyon Legacy #2, and it shows the cruiser, but it shows Sam Wessel, which is the bounty hunter that we see in Attack of the Clones. That is like, kind of acquaintances with Jango Fett, and then Jango Fett, kills them on Coruscant. And then there's Aura Zing, so on the cover with her sniper rifle, which is pretty cool. So I'm really excited to see more stories like that. And there's also another one called the Crimson Reign, and that kind of hints at more stuff with the Crimson Dawn. And then there's the Darth Vader series that you were talking about, the Queen's Shadow returning. So there is going to be a lot coming out here pretty soon, and it's very exciting to see all the new stuff kind of be putting into comics, because of there's so much that you can do with TV shows and stuff, and then this kind of puts us on like that. Okay, we're still getting Star Wars stuff. No pun intended, but yeah, exciting stuff. Yeah, and then there was the news that dropped about the Halcyon Star Cruiser D23 was this past week, and we saw a bunch of new stuff that like that's going to be on the cruiser, including our actual first glimpse of what the lightsaber experience is going to be like. They pretty much announced that they aren't going to be selling like the actual like saber that shows, but it reminds me of the VR game Star Wars Jedi Challenges, where it's a VR set and you have the lightsaber and then you kind of block stuff. It's like that, but it's with their lightsaber, and then they shoot lasers and then you block it. Now it's not actual lasers, it is like projections of what it looked like. It looks pretty cool. But I would love to see more. And they also showed you of what the bridge is going to be like too, and that's kind of like their command center where you go in and you have your flight crew, and then it looks like you can actually put the ship into hyperspace, kind of like how you can on Smuggler's Run, where you can actually put the Falcon in hyperspace, which is pretty cool. But it's going to be like a full out walking around live action role play experience. It looks very enticing, and then you have like different adventures that you actually get to go on. And apparently everything that you do as a guest on the ship will affect other people's journeys. So if you end up saying like, hey, I'm not going to smuggle this and I'm going to work for the First Order, that decision is going to affect the other person's journey that's also on the ship as well. So
so this is Star Wars D&D on steroids.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. And my friend, our friend Jenny actually is going next year, and she's really excited. And it comes with food. It comes with a guaranteed ride on Smuggler's Run, Rise of the Resistance, and then you get to explore the planet of Batuu for the day. I honestly would be on Batuu for a couple hours, and I would just want to get back on the cruiser. Because it's just like, like, oh, Galaxy's Edge, but I'm just like, I want I want to experience the cruiser as
Yeah,
much as I can.
because
So
you can go to Batuu for the price of a Disney ticket.
yeah, yeah.
The cruise is gonna be a whole other beast.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very intrigued by it. I think it's gonna be amazing and it's gonna blow everyone away. I know Ashley Eckstein was just there a couple of days too, and she like showed some of the food that they're gonna have and some of the actual like clothing and like stuff that you
Yeah,
can wear.
there's a boutique on board, and, oh my gosh, I don't even wanna know how much that stuff is gonna cost.
Yeah, because
'Cause
of I
one
saw
of
they're
the
doing the Twilight Heads,
Yeah,
right?
they got the
Yeah,
Twi'leks, they've got,
the Ahsoka
Ahsoka's
headpiece.
headpiece, and, on the Twi'lek, mannequin, uh, she's wearing a cape, which is a copy of a cape that Padme wears in Attack of the Clones, and, like, very intricate, and I don't even wanna know how much that's gonna cost.
Yeah, I and that cloak you're talking about. So Ashley Eckstein actually kind of redesigned it, and she wore that at the panel that they did for the Halcyon cruiser. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh,
And
she's an icon.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's funny because if she goes to Galaxy's Edge, like she goes to Disney all the time because if she lives in Florida. So I'm just hoping. Well, so I actually saw her once, and she walked past me and gave me a high five, and I was like, wow. And I told
His
Brooke
life
and
real?
well, no, because if I told Brooke and she was so mad at me. She's like, "Are you
Oh,
kidding me?" I was like, "Are you serious right now?" Because of her dream is to go to the park and accidentally run into her and Jodie Benson at the same time because of Jodie Benson, who plays Ariel,
yes.
also lives in Florida and she goes there all the time as well. So
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so that is her dream.
Jodie
Uh,
Benson is also an icon, but
yeah,
that's
she
a whole
is.
other podcast.
Yeah. Which ironic, kind of off topic, but I watched Enchanted again, and I totally forgot that she was the secretary, and in the movie, and I was like, oh, I know who that is, but yeah, no, so that's gonna be really cool, and it's really gonna see the actual doorway. All right, so over at Galaxy's Edge, there's the first order courtyard, and there's like this door with a tarp that is like painted with like a door on it to look at like a big like door, but it is the entryway of where people are going to be able to come from the cruiser, and then the shuttle is going to park there, and then that's where they exit. It's going to be from there. And I can't wait to see that finish because I see it almost every morning. So like I walk by and I'm just like, oh, I really want to see that when that's finished. So soon we'll be able to see that because the cruiser is going to be able to have guests for the first time in the beginning of next year in the spring. And it's going to be awesome to see how different the experience is going to be for guests that are going to Galaxy's Edge because now your whole journey is going to be more immersive than ever because you will be on a ship and you're going to be able to transport all the way to Galaxy's Edge and then explore and then be like, all right, I'm done. I'm not going back to the parking lot to my car. I'm just going to go on back onto the shuttle and it's going to take me back onto my cruiser where I'm staying. I think that is going to be the most immersive Star Wars experience that you can ever have. Yes, it's pricey, but I think it's going to be worth it for the people who really want to get into it. And it's not just like, hey, I'm just going to wear like normal clothes. Like you can fully out dress up. The only thing that you can't do is wear helmets. So friends in the 501st, you can't wear your Captain Rex. I know Hunter was kind of bummed about that because
Oh,
of
yeah.
because of that's all he does, like besides the solo. But it's going to be really cool to see if maybe then the people wearing like dressed up as Twi'leks and stuff, if they actually come to Galaxy's Edge because of something that I wanted to see when Galaxy's Edge dropped was seeing random aliens walk around. So
Yeah,
to
that would be
see
so cool.
yeah, so to actually see like people dressed up as Twi'leks and stuff like that, that is going to be so immersive, and
Well,
it's going to be so incredible.
that makes me wonder because, like, can you dress as canon characters in this?
As far as I know, well,
Because
as
if you're going out into the park, you can't wear canon characters in the park.
well, so that's all right. So there was a guy that dressed up as Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order, and he uh and and he was fully outdressed, right? But then like the pants were slightly wrong, and then he didn't have like the orange hair. He had brown hair, but he looked really good. So it sounded like, and people come and dress up as Rey all the time, and some people dress up as like Twi'leks and stuff like that. I think it's the helmet characters where people are like, no, because if I definitely see people come in that have like the Mando helmet, and they just carry it, and then when they're at the cantina, they like quickly put it on, and then they like take it off, because I've definitely seen that before. But I
So
am
then
very
theoretically, could I get into my Rey and go to Galaxy's Edge?
I don't know. I don't know, because I've seen
The
people
Disney
do it,
costume
but
rules are so confusing sometimes.
yes, they are. Yeah. So we'll definitely have to see. Like because of they have definitely talked about it, and when I think it was like a couple of months back where they were fully out talking about what's going to be on the Halcyon and how you can do it and stuff like that. Because I know they did like a panel where all the like the directors and everyone were around of the cruiser, and they said like you'll be able to dress up as a Twi'lek, you'll be able to dress up as the same species as Ahsoka and stuff like that. And then I was like, well, could we dress up as Ahsoka and then like just take a couple of things off so it's not canon? Because of my thing is, if you're walking into and on the cruiser, and like you see Ahsoka, like a really really good Ahsoka, like that's a guest, and then you see like someone dressed up as Rey, it's just going to confuse people because of the timeline. But if you want, you can dress up as Imperial officers, as rebels, as long as you don't have like a full out helmet. It sounds like you're completely fine, because of that's what they're kind of advertising from all the stuff that they've talked about, uh which I know kind of bums out the people who do armor, DKs and clones and stuff like that, because that'd really cool to see. But I think the other great thing about this is that they are doing that storyline where it's going to be like the Halcyon Star Cruiser, Halcyon Legacy, and it will go through the stories of through the original trilogy, through the prequels, and like the 30-year gap. So then it's going to have all the qualities from that stuff. So if you end up dressing up as a clone, you can be like, hey, I'm from this era. And technically the Clone Wars did hit the planet of Batu, because Padme, Thrawn, and Anakin actually go to Batu because of Padme discovers they're trying to make a droid factory, and then Anakin and Thrawn go there to investigate because Padme goes missing. So
Of course she does.
right. So you could definitely go into that era, and then later years, Darth Vader and Thrawn actually go back, but Thrawn doesn't know that Anakin's Vader, but he kind of knows during the Galactic Civil War. So it's very interesting to see all these different costumes. I think if we see like it's gonna be funny because of if we see someone dressed up like as an old Captain Rex in Ahsoka, like walking around, I think that would blow everyone's minds, because it sounds like you are going to be able to do that from how they set it in their panels and stuff like that. But I don't know if like you dressing up as Rey and then them having like the official Rey, that would be
Yeah.
really really confusing, because number one, your name is Rey. Number two,
Yes.
you are an amazing Rey.
Thank you.
And Disney's like Rays are really good too. So you walking in it, it's gonna be like that scene from Spider-Man where like they're all pointing at each other, and it's gonna be like, what's going on?
Well, see,
So
because in my
I'm really
mind,
curious. Yeah,
like if me or somebody were to dress as Rey for this,
yeah.
it wouldn't be very different from somebody dressing as like Ariel and going to the parks. Like,
Well,
like
yeah.
how adults
So
aren't allowed to dress up
right.
because they don't want to be the liability of being confused for a cast member.
Right, because of I know that happened like a couple of Halloweens ago where they went to the Halloween parties and people had a lot of good costumes, and they were like, so. But I don't know if they're gonna be like, hey, listen, you know, you being Ray and they're being a Ray, it's kind of is confusing people. So they may be like, you can't, like what you said earlier, where they can't be any of the main characters that they
Yeah.
have. So like Kylo or Ray or Chewie, of the main ones that they have there, because it's going to confuse guests. But I guess if you do like Ahsoka or Rex, they technically don't have those over at Galaxy's Edge, so those might be fine. But your Ray is super good, so I could see them being like, or be like, here you go, work for us. I don't know,
I
But
would love that.
but yeah. So we'll definitely have to see when more news drops, but I'm very excited for it because of there is a lot of ground to cover for Batu, for the cruiser. There's a lot of stories that still haven't been told yet. And there's a lot of Easter eggs too. And I feel like, a lot of Easter eggs are just added um to Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. That's a big name. All the time because of I remember like one day when I walked in, I saw like the Mando helmet and the Mando rifle, and I'm just like, how? I mean, I guess that makes sense in the timeline, but now then I started thinking, I'm like, wait, so at some point, like his helmet and his rifle, like actually, like is here in Batu. So how did they get it during that 30-year gap? And they have like different things from the original trilogy there and clone helmets and stuff like that. So I'm just like, how are they going to explain that? And they have all that timeline to do so. So it's very exciting stuff, and I'm really excited to see it. But yeah.
Speaking of my Ray, when we were at Grown Up It's Comic-Con
That was a lot of
last
fun.
weekend,
Yeah.
I was really surprised at how many people like recognized me. Like, oh, you're the person who does Ray. Like even when I wasn't wearing Ray. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, you it doesn't help that your name is Ray.
yeah, I
And
know. But a lot of
yeah.
people didn't know that.
Yeah, and I mean, and I remember that TikTok you made a while ago where like you like did like the actual like comparison like scenes of like Daisy Ridley in interviews, and you really do look like her.
I'll have to
So
post that in the Facebook group. I'm
yeah,
making a
do
note.
it.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
So keep an eye out.
we could also post that on Instagram too because it's really cool, and you really can tell. Uh, but kind of speaking about the sequels and stuff like that, there was an interview recently with Kathleen Kennedy where she said the sequel characters will live on, and that really intrigued me, and I read the article, and she said that certainly those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on, and those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. Um, and they haven't really specified if that's going to be, a show, where they'll be in a show or they'll be in a book, and that will continue after the sequel trilogy. I mean, it's not really strange to do that because of they did that with like the Thrawn series and that kind of expanded on be even way before the sequels and the prequels. It was like almost going into the 90s where they, kind of continued the journey of of Star Wars, and they, where Luke Skywalker had a son and his name was Ben Skywalker, and then and then Han and Leia had three kids. It was Jania Solo, Jason Solo, and Anakin Solo. But it I wouldn't be surprised if they continue the story, and they kind of are already continuing like the sequel series through like the not canon but kind of canon to me because the Max Rebo thing and the Lego Holiday Special they did where like Max Rebo shows up. I thought it was the coolest thing, but if they did more stuff like that with like books or like books, comic books, series, games, like I think the story will continue. I just think they're trying to figure out how because of Ray. um uh I mean, Ray was the icon for 5 years of Star Wars for a while, and then great characters like Finn and Poe were there too. So there's a lot to cover um with those
I want
characters.
a Finn and Poe buddy cop series.
I think that would be great, and I think it would be awesome as well because that could also explore Finn being force sensitive, uh,
Yes.
because of that kind of glimpse of the story. At the end of Rise of Skywalker, you're just like, really, he was force sensitive, and you're like, I mean, I guess it makes sense because he did fight Kylo Ren and he got a couple of hits on him, but they really didn't hint at him being force sensitive in until Rise of Skywalker. So because of to me, I thought it was cool that Finn just picked up a lightsaber and was just like, all right, let's go. And then he just
Yeah.
fought Kylo Ren, and it was like, wow, like he doesn't even have the Force. And then it turns out he does have the Force, and you're like, oh, okay.
Which, because they don't explicitly say it, and one of the like key moments that you get that is when he senses that Rey dies, and that makes me wonder if Padme was also a little Force sensitive.
Well, I think they had a Force connection. Not like not like Rey and Kylo did, because of that's technically called a Force connection. But I think it's because of like Anakin and Padme were really linked. Um, uh, I think Anakin kind of passed that on to her, because of that's how Anakin sensed like well where he kind of sensed Padme when she passed away, and Revenge of the Sith, because of the Empress's, in your anger you killed her, and then he like senses and he's like, no. So I was just like, okay, I I think that would be interesting if Padme was Force sensitive. I think what's great about Star Wars is that there's Luke who's Force sensitive, and Leia, which we found out later and stuff. But I love the characters that are just there and that are not Force sensitive,
Yeah.
like
It's
Poe. Like he's just there. He's
just chilling, dude.
he was like Hawkeye in Avengers. He's
Oh
just
my
there and
gosh.
he's got a bow and arrow. Like, hey, I'm Han Solo. I got a blaster in the ship. Like I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, but like I know Obi-Wan like makes a couple jokes about it, about Padme maybe being Force sensitive in the prequels.
Where? When?
Um
In Attack of the Clones, are you talking about the joke where they're tied up like on the columns? Or no?
no, I think he's in Padme's apartment. I can't remember what the quote or scene is really.
Oh, okay.
But I remember him asking, because she makes some sort of joke about Jedi's sensing things, and she was talking
Yeah.
about sensing something, and so Obi-Wan makes a joke, are you sure you're not a Jedi, or something like that.
Shout out
Either
to
that or it was a fever dream.
Shout out to Will B from Australia. He says, hey from Australia, Colin and Ray, love the podcast and the stream. Thanks, Will B. We love you too. But yeah, no, I think it would be really cool if they touch more on the characters, which a lot of people thought that the Rogue Squadron movie was going to be more about the sequels, and then I think David or someone else in the podcast was like, oh, like it's more like episode 10. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I could see that happening, and they actually kind of scrapped the idea now, because it sounds like that whole movie is just postponed, and it's kind of like what they did with the Rangers of the New Republic. So I don't know if it was behind the scenes stuff. I don't know if it was of just, hey, I'm just gonna move on to a different project. I don't know, but I would have loved to see. I would love to see more of them kind of to continue the storyline, so they can answer some of the plot holes, because Rise of Skywalker, there was a lot at the end where you see, oh, hey, that we completely took down the First Order. Now we're just going to leave this planet with like almost just under 10,000 star cruisers that can blow up a planet. It's just like, oh, yeah. It's just like, no. It's just like, I mean, they're not just going to sit there. They are like, there's going to be a new leader, and then someone's going to take over, and then they'll just do it again. So I thought that was a little, and then there was that scene from one of the Darth Vader comics where with like Sabine and stuff, where he goes to Exegol, like of Darth Vader, and he sees like the Snoke clones and stuff, and then the Emperor shows him the whole hangar of all of those Star Destroyers, and they never mentioned it again. Like, I feel like if I was like Darth Vader, like kind of passing away in Return of the Jedi, I would have been like, Luke, there's a planet with all these cruisers.
I
I
feel like
love
that
you.
was the
And then
last thing on his mind when he's dying.
well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, that is, I mean, of them making that comic was kind of a big, I mean, it, yeah, it was kind of a plot hole. So because it's just adding to saying, hey, Vader knew, people knew about this, and they just discover it in Rise of Skywalker, like there has to be
Well,
some type
Luke
of
was looking
archive.
for it.
Well, yeah, but he didn't know that there was that many cruisers because
Well,
of
we don't know
Exegol
that he
was
didn't know that. We just know
okay.
he was looking for Exegol.
Mm.
Why? Who knows?
Because she was looking for the Sith holocrons, and that was also like the first like uh, allegedly the first Sith homeworld, even though it used to be um Korriban in Legends, and then they switched it over to Exegol, which I think was an interesting call. But yeah, so there's a lot to explore in the sequels that still hasn't been talked about yet. So I'm very excited to see them explore more of that.
There's also a lot of side characters I'd like to know more about. Like, I'd love
Yeah.
to know like Connix's backstory, or where Rose goes from here, or
Does she find true love?
no, she is Finn and Poe's babysitter. Somebody's got to be in charge there.
Right, exactly.
She's
No,
got the brain cell between the three of them.
well, so they, like I said, they actually kind of continued that story with which I thought. So last year there was the Lego Holiday Special, where they actually kind of did a little sequel thing where like it shows Rey training Finn like
Mhm.
through the Force, and then they're getting ready for Life Day, and then Max Rebo shows up, and I just remember being like, "What in the world?" And then Paul was like, "Hey, aren't you the Max Rebo band? Like, what happened?" And then Max Rebo says like, "Oh, all 6 of the members died or something like that," and the sail barge crashed, and then Poe's like, "Oh, so sorry for your loss," and I was just like, "Please make that canon. Please make that canon. Please make that canon." So hopefully we see him in the Book of Boba Fett, because if I just feel like if he's gonna appear somewhere, it's gonna be there. Like
Yeah.
it has to be there. So and on top of that, I just keep seeing random Max Rebo merch coming out because of there were some stickers where half the page was just Max Rebo, and I got them, of course.
Well, yeah,
But
rightfully
yeah,
so.
yeah. So I was just like, he's totally gonna come back, and then I'm just gonna buy everything, and then I'm just gonna go and tell people who thought I was wrong, David, James, and Joseph. I'm just gonna be like, hey, listen, I was right. But yeah, no. So there's a lot to explore. I'm very excited to see more of the sequel stuff that they talk about. If it's not in a show, then if it's in a book, then that will be pretty cool too. But there's also the live action announcement of Sabine has been casted for the Ahsoka series, and I'm gonna let you say it, right? Because I'm gonna do it wrong.
I don't have the name in front of me.
Oh, fine, I'll do it. I'm gonna do
And
really
I
bad
can
with
try
it.
and correct you if you get it wrong.
It is Natasha Lou Bordizzo.
Yes, that's what I think. That's what the Google told me.
Okay. All right. Okay. The Google told you.
I gave it a goog, and that's all I got.
But yeah, so that's intriguing. I wasn't expecting that. I thought because of they cast the live action version of Bo-Katan like a couple of years back now, and it was the person that voiced her in the Clone Wars. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, why not do that with other characters? Like because it hasn't been officially announced, but it was on Rosario Dawson's page that the actor who plays Thrawn, who voiced him in Rebels, is going to play him live action. I was like, that is perfect. And then I was like, why not do that with Sabine? And then they and Ahsoka, and then they end up not doing that. It was like, oh, okay.
It might also have to do with if the voice actor looks like the character.
I think
That
she
might have
does. Yeah.
something to play with it, but I haven't seen. Now it's Rebels that Sabine is in, correct?
Yes.
I have not seen that yet. It is on my list. Don't judge me.
Goodbye.
But somebody sent me the article, and there was a side-by-side photo of Natasha and
Yeah,
Sabine,
yeah,
and it looked like, just looks wise, it, at least that photo, it looked flawless. I haven't seen
yeah.
other photos side by side with her, but that one shot looked like really good casting visually.
No, it's great casting. It's great. Like, I'm not saying it's not great casting. It's just that, um, it's just like the whole thing with Ashley Eckstein not being, cast as live action Ahsoka because of a couple of years ago she actually did dress up as Ahsoka, and she looked really good as the character, and she like definitely said if she had the chance to play Ahsoka in live action she would, and she would definitely get in the same shape that the character was like in the show, and I could definitely see her doing that. And it was just like, yes, Rosario Dawson's great as an actress, but I think that the fact that Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka would not be the character that she is without Ashley Eckstein. So I was really I was saddened that we didn't even get a hint of Ashley Eckstein in The Mandalorian when she appeared. Like, no cameo there, like not even her voice, because of they like for example, Hondo over Galaxy's Edge, that is, yes, it's live action Hondo, but the guy who, is doing live action Hondo doesn't sound like Hondo. So they used Jim Cummings, who played Hondo in Rebels and Clone Wars, to do the voice for that. And that's why I was just like, why didn't they do that with Ahsoka? So Sabine, is her voice isn't that iconic enough to me where I'm just like, oh, hey, that has to be Sabine's voice. But for Ahsoka and for Hondo, the voice had to be like spot on. Um, uh, uh, Especially like if you saw live action Hondo and it wasn't the voice that we hear in the Clone Wars and Rebels, I would be so thrown off. And I was thrown off with um with Ahsoka's appearance as well, because of you are so used to seeing Ahsoka's like voice with the character. So when Ahsoka appeared, I was like, oh, okay, it's Rosario Dawson. And then you hear her talk, and I'm like, oh, it's Rosario Dawson. Like, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, because of with those characters, you want the voice to match up with the character, even if it's live action,
Yeah.
um, because of that is what really makes the character whole. So as great as Rosario Dawson is, I just really hope that we get some more Ashley Eckstein involvement, because of she made the character so iconic, and Ahsoka would not be who she is today without Ashley. So that's why I'm hoping that we get more involvement of her in the Ahsoka series, because there is no Ahsoka without Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah. Like, even if she was just like consulting on the series,
Yes.
like, I think she'd be a really good insight to have when creating the show.
Yeah. Yep. So here's hoping, because of she is remarkable, and I feel like I'm kind of speaking on Brooke's behalf because that's her favorite character.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I want to see more of the voice actors actually coming in and playing like the live action version of their characters. I think that would be remarkable. Because of they've already done it with Bo-Katan, and they're probably going to do it with Thrawn. Um, and I just want to see more of that type of stuff. But yeah, yep. I believe that's really everything on the list I'm looking at. It looks like that's everything. Is there anything that you wanted to declare out there, Ray? Nothing. No.
Nothing in particular.
No. That's yeah.
Is there something I should declare?
No, I don't know. Did you do anything for Life Day?
No. Probably just
Ah,
worked. Which day was Life Day?
November 17th,
What day of the week was that?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
I just worked.
Oh, well, it was really cool to see people, because I definitely saw people actually wearing the red robes and stuff. And you still haven't watched the holiday special all the way through, haven't you?
No, I've seen some clips and whew.
Yeah, I we are definitely gonna have to do like an actual like screening of that, and also the Ewok movies. I keep saying that because I would love to see your reactions to it. Because of Sam, Sam watched the first one, and then he just didn't watch the second one, and then
Okay, what we need to do is, are you coming back up north for Christmas?
I'm gonna try, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
So
next time you're up north,
yes.
we'll have to do that. And if Sam comes in, we'll have to loop him into that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then
We'll
do
we'll
our
definitely have to
watch
do
and
that.
commentary.
Because of we also started like when Sam was here last, we were hanging out and we were like, hey, what's in Disney Plus? And we are like, hey, how about the show Droids? Like Droids came out like in the 80s, and we watched it, and it was just funny to see C3PO as a cartoon and blink, like he was actually blinking.
Ah,
And
no.
yeah, I know. I was like, whoa. And then there's a part where he picks up a weapon and just knocks people on the ground, and like he's moving as a human sometimes, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, all right. But
See,
it felt
moving as
like
a
it was
human, I
like
can take.
Power
The
Rangers. It was
blinking
weird.
is,
Yeah,
that's
I don't know.
unsettling.
Yeah, I mean it's on Disney Plus. It's in the Star Wars a vintage collection, so I've definitely checked it out too. But yeah. Oh yeah. Also, if you guys see me at Galaxy's Edge, come up and say hi. I mean, I talked to a fan the other day that came up to me, and it was an awesome interaction. And then some people came up to me and was like, what just happened? I'm like, oh, he listens to the podcast. I'm like, you have a podcast? And I'm like, I do. Um, and it's awesome to interact with you guys and talk about like your stories, like how you got into Star Wars, and like how awesome like it is, and how we kind of bring our journeys to you through the podcast. So if you ever see any of us, like if you're over the library in Michigan and you end up running into Ray, say hi to her.
Say hi.
Yeah, if you see me, over at Galaxy's Edge, come and say hi. If you see my wife over at Tatooine Traders, go and say hi. We love talking to you guys and the fans. It's amazing, and we get fan mail too, which is still surreal. So I adore you guys so much. This podcast wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you guys, because if you guys keep sending us emails and telling us your ideas and your theories and stuff, and it's so cool to interact with you all. So please go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Follow Ray on TikTok. She's got stuff on there.
Yeah, dude.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. So nope. We love you guys. We hope you're doing well. During hopefully the end of the pandemic, it sounds like we are getting close to the end, which is exciting because we can go back to conventions and stuff. Star Wars celebrations next year. What?
Getting to the end, maybe in Florida, but in Michigan, we're like highest
Oh,
in the nation. We have a 25% positivity
I
rate.
don't know. I don't know. No, we it's yeah, it is getting more and more busy. Um uh just everywhere. Like over in Florida and stuff. And it was awesome to go back to Grand Rapids Comic Con too, because I surprised everyone. Like no one really knew I was coming, and I remember seeing our friend Craig. He was like, "I can't believe you just hopped on a plane." And I was like, "Yeah, it was really an impulse buy, but it was awesome to see all my Star Wars friends, and we all got to troop with each other, and we raised a lot of money for the Make a Wish Foundation too. That
Mhm.
was probably like my highlight of the trip, is that I did that, and then I got to surprise my family. But it sounds like we have con we have conventions coming back and stuff. So if you get the chance to go. Star Celebration is happening next year, and it's going to have so many great panels. There is going to be the Kenobi panel. There will be a panel for Andor and some of the new games and some of the like Star Wars shows that haven't even been announced yet. And season 3 of Mandalorian and probably season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. So we're definitely going to see stuff that we've been waiting for. And it's going to be awesome to be all in the same room and just be with fans again. So if you guys get the chance to go to Celebration, do it. It's one of the best Star Wars experiences that you'll ever have besides going to Galaxy's Edge and doing the Halcyon Cruiser. But yeah. So with that being said, I'm Colin.
I'm Ray.
And you have just listened to the Star Wars Stuff podcast. May the Force be with you
Always.